Climbing Mount Everest requires extreme physical endurance, and often a climber's entire life savings. At these altitudes, the margins for error are zero. Because of unpredictable weather and the severe physical toll of low oxygen, every tourist is required to buy high-altitude travel insurance. If you collapse on the trail, a helicopter extraction is your only way down. These flights are incredibly expensive. When a climber goes down, the insurance company covers the massive bill to get them off the mountain safely. This entire safety net relies heavily on trust. It assumes that climbers, guides, and rescue companies will only pull the alarm in a genuine life-or-death emergency. This chart tracks helicopter rescues in the Everest region. You can see the baseline of normal emergency flights, followed by this massive, statistically impossible spike between 2018 and 2025. Investigators auditing these records uncovered an enormous drain on international insurers, calculating the total fraud at nearly $20 million, or up to 170 crore rupees. This surge in rescues was driven by a disturbing cause. Guides were systematically poisoning their own clients to force emergency extractions. This was a calculated extortion trap designed by a criminal syndicate to turn the world's highest peak into a personal ATM. The first stage of this pipeline operated far from any administrative oversight, deep within the isolated base camps and trekking routes. Trekking guides would wait until mealtime, then secretly mix common household baking soda into their clients' food. Consuming this powder induces severe gas, diarrhea, vomiting, and dehydration. This chart breaks down the sabotage toolkit. Alongside the baking soda, guides forced tourists to overhydrate and administered dangerous overdoses of Diamox, a standard altitude sickness drug. Combined, these tactics perfectly mimic the severe symptoms of acute mountain sickness. Once the tourists were physically compromised, the guides moved to psychological pressure. They warned the climbers that oxygen levels were dropping, and if they didn't call for a helicopter immediately, they would likely die on the mountain. Panicked and violently ill, the tourists agreed to the airlift. In just a few hours, the guides had successfully manufactured a fake emergency, turning healthy climbers into highly lucrative patients. The second phase of the operation belonged to the aviation companies executing the extraction flights. When the helicopter arrived, pilots and dispatchers went to work falsifying flight logs. They completely fabricated the passenger manifests to match whatever the insurance companies needed to see. This visual demonstrates how they multiplied the money. The aviation company would fly a single physical rescue mission, but generate multiple separate invoices, charging different insurance providers for several individual extractions. By weaponizing their paperwork, the helicopter companies effectively cloned a single trip into a massive multi-claim payday. The final destination for these rescued tourists was the medical wards in Kathmandu, where the most brazen part of the fraud took place. Hospitals generated fake medical reports, documenting dangerously low oxygen levels for perfectly fine patients, and billing the insurers for entirely unnecessary CT scans and ICU admissions. Investigators literally found supposed critical ICU patients casually drinking beer down in the hospital cafeteria. To satisfy the insurance auditors, medical staff physically recycled old X-rays from previous patients, attaching them to new tourists' files and stamping the discharge papers with duplicated digital doctor signatures. Once the insurance company approved the claim and cleared the funds, the hospital administrators secretly divided the payout among themselves, the helicopter pilots, and the trekking agencies. With every layer of the travel and healthcare industry compromised and collaborating, the syndicate operated a flawless, closed-loop system of theft. Despite early attempts by the government to regulate these flights in 2018, the network simply adapted. The fraud surged again, triggering a federal crackdown. The Nepal Police Central Investigation Bureau seized the records and audited the flights. They identified over 300 completely fake rescues and formally charged 32 individuals with organized crime. This chart highlights the worst corporate offenders exposed in the audit. Out of 1,248 claims made by Mountain Rescue Service, 171 were proven completely fake, totaling 85 crore rupees. Meanwhile, Era International Hospital alone took in over 130 crore in fraudulent funds. The syndicate was so deeply embedded in the daily operations of legitimate businesses that it took the full force of federal law enforcement to finally dismantle it. The global blowback has been severe. Exhausted by the endless stream of forged claims, several major international insurance companies are now outright refusing to issue trekking policies for Nepal. Without the guarantee of medical evacuation coverage, foreign tourists simply cannot risk the climb. This threatens to cripple Nepal's tourism-dependent economy, endangering thousands of honest jobs. The syndicate's exploitation of the safety net stole $20 million and forced a withdrawal of international coverage, jeopardizing the long-term viability of Everest tourism.